Welcome back, top performer. How crazy would it sound to you if I said that a whopping 80% of what you do on a daily basis is unconscious and based on your pre-existing programming known as invisible scripts? An invisible script or invisible belief is a psychological concept that refers to the unconscious beliefs, expectations, and patterns of behaviors that shape our actions and decisions, sort of like your own autopilot that you follow each and every day. These scripts are often formed early in our life based on experiences and culture conditioning, and they can influence how we interact with others and the world around us. Just as autopilot helps us navigate from one place to another, an invisible script can help us navigate through life by providing a set of unconscious beliefs and expectations to follow. Problem is, this autopilot may be outdated or incorrect and can steer us in the wrong direction or limit our potential. In those scenarios, we need to update or discard our invisible scripts and create new, healthier ones. To do so, you need to harness your self-awareness and identify the beliefs that may be holding you back so that you can define better scripts to support the path you want to travel down. We'll dive into that exercise in a moment, but first, let's make sure you have a clear understanding of these scripts. When most people think of beliefs, they think of the most obvious, which are religious and political beliefs. Now, these are usually adopted based on our upbringing or some close relationships that we may have. Over time, these and many other beliefs become so ingrained in us and so strong that we believe them regardless of the arguments. If you're wondering why, it's because these beliefs are integral to our identity, so killing them is akin to killing a piece of ourselves. We hold on to beliefs because we take pride in who we are, and these beliefs form the invisible scripts that run our lives. These scripts are like lines of code that inform how we will respond to a given circumstance. They create the bias to how we respond to topics like race, age, or sex. Let's put it to a test. If I were to ask you if Legos are toys for boys or girls, what would you say? What about dolls, boys or girls? I can tell you from experience, boys are usually teased when they play with dolls. Confession time. Growing up with 3 sisters, I played Barbies, but if I said that out loud, people would normally laugh. I felt judged by people's responses, so I'd qualify that I was kin or the baby boy to try to earn back my machismo. Now, it's not only these polarized topics, it is also as simple as someone who believes they are an only person competent enough to perform a job. Those people are a lot of fun to work with. There's an old joke that captures the challenge with these invisible scripts. It goes like this. 2 fish are swimming in a pond when an older fish starts swimming the other way towards them. When the older fish passes him, he nods and says, "Good morning, how's the water?" The 2 fish swim for a while before one of them looks to the other and asks, "What is water?" Invisible scripts are embedded everywhere in society, so much that we don't even realize they're guiding our attitudes and behavior. Like water to a fish, they surround us even if we don't know. Let's look at a few examples of middle and upper class programming. You need to go to college to be successful. After college, you need to get married, buy a house, and have 2.5 kids. Oh, and don't forget about your dog. You need to find a 9 to 5 and grind away in the office until it's time to retire. They're called invisible scripts for a reason, and usually so subtle, they'll pass through your mind completely undetected. That's what makes them so dangerous. And if you don't realize they are there, or completely ignore them, they'll trap you into something you didn't necessarily even want to do. That said, invisible scripts can also be our friend and offer tremendous benefits. In the same way that negative scripts become traps that hold you back, positive scripts can aid you. Here are some examples. I hold the door open for others. I always make time for my team. I don't miss deadlines. I spend less than I earn. I invest 20% of what I make. Then there are invisible scripts around your health, which will inform how you eat and if you exercise. These scripts tend to also have subscripts that further reinforce them. For example, someone who believes dieting is pointless might say, "Well, what's the point? It never makes a difference." Or, "Well, I won't get enough protein if I become a vegetarian." Or, "I don't have time." This tends to strengthen these beliefs and further cement them in your programming. In the workplace, there is an expensive invisible script I see that leads to being paid less than we are worth, and I hear it all the time. It's too difficult to get a raise in this economy. While I know that this video may be watched when the economy is good or bad, the reality is that you can finish this sentence with whatever you want. It is too difficult to get a raise with this boss. It is too difficult to get a raise at this company. It is too difficult to get a mentor, or it is too difficult to find the time. Finish it however you like. If we tell ourselves these things before we try, then we've already lost. I went through 8 or 9 restructures throughout my career, usually every 2 to 3 years due to either the economy or poor stock performance or new leadership or acquiring another company and needing to show several $billion in the benefit to shareholders. Where some people's programming or scripts told them, "Why bother?" I saw the opportunity to seek a solution to the problem the company was trying to address, and those scripts propelled me forward. That made me even more valuable in a time when cuts were being made. So why do we tell ourselves these stories and follow the invisible scripts? Well, Generally, there's two reasons. First, it's easier. It's the path of least resistance. If we accept that there's a force out of our control, i.e. the economy or our boss, dictating whether or not we get a raise or a job, we feel much less pressure to put in the effort. We take the path of least resistance. Second, fear keeps us focused on surviving instead of thriving. When the media or our friends and family plant the seed that the economy is coming to a halt, we hunker down, not wanting to rock the boat. Our brain puts us in survival mode, when we should instead consider it just a data point and move forward because we are not okay with a 3% cost of living raise, sometimes less. Be careful when you begin to say stuff like, I'm just lucky to have a job. That's the survivor brain speaking, and ultimately it's just going to limit you putting yourself out there. I remember my parents saying this to me when the economy was bad, that I was lucky to have a good job. I temporarily adopted that belief, as did many others I knew. I let fear lead me, and it led me to retreat rather than advance. Today I can realize that made me comfortable in a time when I wish I was more hungry. Now, that's not to blame my parents, but to point out that we strengthen our beliefs by surrounding ourselves with others who nurse those beliefs. Those beliefs get stronger and are even harder to break free from when we reinforce them via the media we consume and the peer groups we associate with. All right, so let's get to the meat. How do we reprogram our beliefs? I have a technique I call the break method. Ultimately, it looks like this. B, belief identification. R, reframe the belief. E, evidence stack to support your frame. A, action to make it real. K, keep reinforcing it. Let's walk through it. First, you identify the belief standing in your way. You acknowledge it exists. Second, you want to reframe it and stack a belief that overwrites it. In the case of the economic situation, mine was, and still is, seeing myself as a problem solver and value creator, which made situations like these golden. Adopting the belief that you are a value creator will serve you well. Adopting the belief that the recession births new opportunities will also serve you. Once you embrace these, it is easier to then put yourself in your company's shoes or your boss's shoes or whoever's shoes are attached to what you believe is standing in your way. Third, you present evidence of where you have done similar things and been successful with it. For the value creator belief, it would be my previous value add and problem solving success. The goal is to look for previous wins you've had, even if small, to give yourself some proof of how you have taken steps or had success with this in the past. These become your subscripts to reinforce and hold up your new beliefs. Fourth, you want to schedule at least 3 next actions to prove to yourself that you are leaning into your new beliefs. Pretty straightforward. And fifth, you continue to reinforce it through continual action and by building subscripts that support it. As you can see here, you choose the narrative. You can say times are bad for your company, so you need to wait another year or two, or you can create a narrative that says in times of good or bad, you're always stacking value for a company, which makes you indispensable. Your ability to manage this is tied directly to your emotional intelligence and specifically self-awareness and self-management. They are necessary for reprogramming our invisible scripts. So if for any reason you skipped that previous lesson, go back to it. Here is a specific example in how you can reframe it. Ready for it? I'm going to say one word. Networking. How does that word make you feel? If you felt comfortable, you likely have positive scripts working for you. But if instead you wanted to quit this program immediately and run a mile the other direction, then you probably have some negative scripts associated with networking. You see how powerful they are? A single word can send shivers down our spine, depending on if we have a positive or negative invisible script. To be clear, when it comes to networking, my invisible scripts side more with running from networking, but I've been working on it. And here's how. I don't repeat a mantra like, I am the world's greatest networker. Positive affirmations might have a place, but it's counterproductive since I know I'm lying to myself. What I find more useful is a reframe with the acknowledgement that I'm getting better, which will be true until I die, or so I believe. So I could embody the negative and say I'm not good at networking or I don't like networking, but that's not going to help. Instead, I could BS myself by saying I'm an amazing networker or I am a lion seeking my prey. But I struggle to adopt that belief since it strongly butts heads with my existing reality. So instead, I flip it to each day I get better at networking. That I can buy into and embrace. So when the new belief you want feels a bit out of reach, agree to meet it in the middle and acknowledge that you are getting better and better at it each day. This directs your subconscious to look for ways to get better and see something that has been difficult for you as achievable versus running a mile the other way. Then you want to reinforce it with the evidence of where you've had some wins related to networking. For me, I've been good at being there for shy or more marginalized individuals because of my empathy. The pain of seeing them in pain outweighs my own fears of networking. Other ways I would stack this is my success in presentations where I've received praise in the past. even if I might have gone into those afraid. Another example would be one of the many events I've been at, that while it might have seemed painful before I arrived, once I was there, it usually wasn't as bad as the picture I painted in my head. Finally, you want to keep reinforcing with more actions and ultimately rewrite your outdated programming. All right, so if you have limiting beliefs holding you back, it's time to establish new ways of thinking in order to overwrite that programming so that you're moving closer to the future that you envision for yourself. Oh, and quick tip on this, it can sometimes make a belief more meaningful if you can attach the reason why you're doing it. So, as an example, if your limiting belief was, I am not capable of networking effectively in this job, you could reframe it as, I am proactive in seeking out opportunities to network and build relationships because it's unlocking the future I envision for myself and my family. Here are the next actions to get us there. You will find a worksheet in the workbook that takes you through step by step and also includes some examples at the bottom. After that, you're going to ask for feedback. You can either leverage the community or somebody you know, but having an extra set of eyes on this is very valuable for you since it is literally about rewriting your programming. If you have several limiting beliefs that you want to break, I'd suggest you pick the 2 most powerful first, or the 2 most limiting. You could always come back to more, but this way you don't overwhelm yourself. You can reframe others later. Then start reinforcing it. I'll see you at the top. That's it for this lesson. I hope you found it valuable. If so, this is one of the core lessons from my Career Accelerator system. If you want the full course with the workbook, scripts, and bonus tools, you can get access at careeraccelerator.me. Or you can dive into the next lesson here.